right here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Emmanuel Michael, the Prime Minister of the Airways, and I'm glad to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest happenings in the world of sport. But this weekend edition of the show, the central focus will be centered around the Super Eagles final 28-man AFCON list that was released 2 days ago by Eric Chell, plus midweek UEFA Champions League matches. This is the vocal point of our discourse on the show this evening. But you know how we do it. I'll take a quick break. When I'm back, I'll introduce my guest. And of course, I will get to dissect all that you need to know on the show this evening. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be back in a jiffy. All right, welcome back from that short break. Here with me this morning is Dr. Elechi Oweke, who is a lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt, but also he is a stakeholder in terms of talking sports. So I'm glad to have him right here with me in the studio this morning. Doctor, good morning. Did I say morning? Good evening and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Michael, and a special evening to our viewers out there. This morning we're going to deeply look into what has been transpiring in the world of sports.
All right, joining us via the Zoom line this evening on the show is a seasoned sport journalist. He's also a content creator, a boss of his own. I call him the Big France. He is Francis Idroyen. He joins us from the beautiful city of Calabar. Mr. Francis, good evening and welcome to Sport Extra on Atlantic Television Network.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel, for having me on the show this evening. It's a pleasure to be here one more time.
Pleasure indeed. How is Calabar? Hope the Calabar Carnival is, preparation is on ground.
Of course, we can trust the government of Cross River State to always, cross the T's and dot the I's. I mean, if you're not in Calabar for the festive period, I don't know where you should be. Of course, everywhere is light up. We're waiting for the D-Day on the 28th, for the Carnival Calabar itself. But trust me, now it's bubbling as usual, yeah.
All right, we'll definitely see if I can, find my way down there one of these days to come enjoy the beautiful ambience of Calabar. But then let's talk sports on the show this evening, because the Super Eagles head coach Eric Chell released his final squad for the 2025 African Cup of Nations Cup tournament, naming 3 goalkeepers, 8 defenders, 8 midfielders, and 9 forward for the tournament scheduled for December 21st, 2025 to January 18th, 2026 in Morocco. Meanwhile, among the players called up for the AFCON in the goalkeeping department include Stanley Nwabali of Chippa United of South Africa, Amas Obasogi of Singida Black Stars of Tanzania, and of course Francis Uzoho of Ammonia FC of Cyprus. Doc, let me quickly turn to you. 28-man squad has officially been released after the number was prone down to 28, because initially it was a 55 provisional list. Now that the number has been trimmed down, let's take a look at it critically. The goalkeeping department, Stanley Nwabali, Amaso Basogi, Francis Uzoho made the final shortlist. Are you comfortable with the exclusion of key name like Okoye, who has been very, very impressive for Udinese side this season?
I think I'm not go all out to criticize the list to say that it is not a good one, especially in the goalkeeping area. But one thing you have to understand is that in every provisional list released for any tournament, there is always that cry for permission or maybe due to one thing or the other. I remember in 1998, when Brazil was going for the World Cup in France '98, we had a fit Romario and a Ronaldo that was recovering from injury. At the end of the day, I think the coach had to go with Ronaldo other than Romario that was fitter and better. Even when Romario was the one that helped the team to win the 1994 World Cup. So I think most times it has to do with management and coach decision for certain reasons. But for this case, I think it is not really a good one for us because we know what we passed through in the hands of Francis Uzoho when he was solely in charge of the goalkeeping department of Nigeria. He said that he would make one error, and he wasn't even bothered about improving on those errors. Now, bringing him back when he has not really had the number of games as compared to what Maduka Okoye has been doing after returning from his suspension is not a good one. I think football has to be fair to those who watch football and those who play football. It's a very wrong one. The coach, I may not see it from the coach angle. I think probably it may be something that the management had influence. Maybe I'm not saying it is coming from the management. But in all, that is how it is with football. These are the controversies that makes football tick.
All right, Francis Idoroyen, the squad list is no longer in news, but the news remains that the likes of, Maduka Okoye was omitted in terms of the goalkeeping department. The Chippa United Stanley Nwabali is not 100% fit because he's been nursing injury for his club side. Amas Obasogi consistently has been invited for the Super Eagles, but never given any chance at all for we to see what he can bring to the table. Francis Uzoho, old war horse you want to say, but not too many Nigerians are comfortable and confident regarding Francis Uzoho, regarding his back record, if you go by some of the time that he has been for the national team. Are you comfortable with these three goalkeepers as enlisted by Eric Chell?
Okay, quick one. First thing first, I'd like us to digress a little bit. There have been no time in the history of this country where all loving footballing Nigerians, women and abroad have actually agreed, on a particular meet. There has never been a time. The last time we won the AFCON, okay, was also opera in football fraternity. I can remember that was when we had probably the largest amount of or numbers of home games that were in that list. I don't know if you remember DK, Bright DK, he was dropped in that list. And Rahim Lawal was also a very fantastic player. He was dropped. We had the likes of Uzone, Sunday Mba, a couple of home-based players who were in that list. It was heavily criticized. We went on to win the AFCON. Personally, I do not like to only criticize a list. I think, for me personally, criticism is part of it, but it should always come at the end of each tournament. I've seen rumors from different angles that Maduka Okoye, had a gentleman agreement with Eric Chell that, if you can't guarantee me a regular playing spot, I should probably focus on my club football. At the end of the day, the list is out, it is out. We all know that at the moment, the South African-based goalkeeper is not fully fit. But we just have to make do of what we have at our disposal at the moment. Yeah, when I saw the list too, of course, the biggest or the high-profile name omitted is Maduka Okoye. But then again, if you want to juxtapose these two goalkeepers, Maduka Okoye, decent very goalkeeper on a very good day, but his national team, appearance, has been very questionable. If you want to, put short sentiment aside, he's a very difficult goalkeeper. He plies his trade in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. But when he's being called upon to the national team, it's a different case scenario altogether. Well, we just have to work with what Eric Chell has actually dropped, and let's see how we pick it up from there.
All right, let's see how we pick it up from there. But then there will always be questionable, input from Nigerians, especially for football-loving Nigerians whenever a squad list is out. Just the same thing that we are experiencing. Why so many are of the opinion that Maduka Okoye should have been included in this list. The coach has made his choice, of course. We'll have no other option than to back him. Let's take a look at the defensive angle to it, because the likes of Kelvin Bassey, who plays for Fulham FC of England, made a list. Semilogo Ajayi of Hull City of England as well. Bright Osaye Samuel of Birmingham City of England. Bruno Onyemechi also made a list. He's of Olympiacos of Greece. Chidozie Awaziem of Nantes FC of France. Seydou Sanusi of FC Porto of Portugal. Igor Obu of Slava Prague of Czech Republic. Arian Alibioso of Blackburn Rovers of England also made the list as well. Francis, let me stick with you. I know that you've been able to peruse through this list properly. Let's take a look at the defensive lineup. Are you okay with the defense lineup of the Super Eagles?
Well, a very interesting one. I think for me, the only thing missing in this list, sadly, we missed him through injury. That's the young lad Benjamin Fed, who get crashed, at the national team when he was not even officially invited. When they had that Four Nations tournament in the UK. I think that's the only young lad that has been missing right there. For the other guys, those are regular suspects. Shimleri Ajayi, who is doing very well for his club side in the championship. Calvin Bassey, of course, is a regular suspect for the national team. Maybe John Ubu, the new guy in the building. He has been invited a couple of times, but probably not had the opportunity to play yet. Seydou Sanusi, when he's fully fit, we know what he brings to the table. Bruno Onyemechi for Olympiacos, also a very decent player on a very good day. I like the fact that we went to two left back, Seydou Sanusi and Bruno Onyemechi. Who again, Petrosai Samuel, very combative defender on a very good day. So I think he's a very decent one. But like I rightly said, the only player that will probably be missing would be Benjamin Frederick. We saw what he did, when he was given the opportunity. At that stage, for a younger player like him, he showed confidence, he showed grit, definitely wants a future. I'm very happy he's still very young. He still has the time ahead of him to always turn up anytime he's fully fit. But I think it's a fairly decent defender we have right there. On a good day, I think they can also stand the ground against any strikers in the world.
The likes of Ola Aina is not there, and some are worried. The likes of Truce Ekong, who has officially hung the boot for the senior national team. Some have said the best defensive pair in the back line is Truce Ekong and Calvin Bassey. But let me put it straight to you. Are you okay if Semilogo Ajayi pairs alongside Calvin Bassey? Will you be okay with that defense?
Well, I think, like I rightly said, decently fair enough. Semilogo Ajayi, I like his aerial prowess. He's good with aerial ball. Also good on the feet as well. But for Calvin Bassey, I don't need to talk much about him. We know what he brings to the table. Right? Well, it depends on Richel right now to bring the best out of these guys. Yeah, both of them, I've not really seen them, pair as much.
And that is the worry from Nigerians.
Of course, that should raise some concerns because we've not really seen these guys. So right now I'm thinking of the chemistry because one thing about fullbacks is proper communication. Whoever is moving, who should stay behind. So I think Richel needs to, talk to them on how to, get this job done because that is where the whole bulk of the defense will be coming from. Like I rightly said, Semilogo Ajayi is good aerial ball. I've watched him a couple of times. Gentle. He doesn't speak much, but he goes about doing his business. Calvin Bassey, very combative. I like the fact that he has suited well to African football. When he was initially invited to the national team, I was worried, for a player who grew up in the UK, coming to the national team. African football is quite different. The African terrain is quite different. Sometimes it takes time to acclimatize to a kind of football right here. But I think Calvin Bassey has slotted in perfectly well. All through the games he has played so far, I think he has been well. He has done well for himself. And the fact that Hali picks up a knock or pick up an injury is also an added advantage to Calvin Bassey. But I think the combination of Semilogo Ajayi, and Calvin Bassey, of course, would be one to watch out for.
All right, a combination of Calvin Bassey and Semilogo Ajayi is one to watch out for the Super Eagles as they prepare for the African Cup of Nations. Doc, before we leave the defensive lineup of the Super Eagles, I know you are one of those who are sometimes critical about, Semilogo Ajayi, owing to the fact that some have termed him to be the Tosin Adarabioye of Chelsea because of his sluggish pattern of play and some of the schoolboys' errors sometimes that he commits. Let's take a look at it. Frederick is not there. I was in the absence of William Truss-Ekong, we saw Frederick partnering
with Calvin
Bassey, and it was seamless. The understanding was perfect. Now that he's not there, are you okay with the defense?
I think defense has really been a key issue for the Super Eagles in recent time, and the coach didn't really care about it. I've seen him a couple of times watch games in the Nigerian league, of which I think it would have been better or possible if he would have brought in somebody from one of the club sides in Nigeria. I remember back then when we were having defensive issues in the Super Eagles, Eric Ejiofor was playing for Enyimba. Obinna Nwaneri was playing for Enyimba, and they brought them into the team. That was during the era of Enyimba dominating Africa, and they did very well for the defensive area of the Super Eagles. So I was thinking that the coach would have looked inward and bring in one or two defenders from the league who could help blend the team better than going to Europe to bring in one of these boys who has not really had enough experience as compared with these are players that have been playing in local league, that have played over the years. Now, in 2013, when the Super Eagles won the tournament, it was a pairing between Godfrey Obaibuna and what's his name?
Joseph Yobo.
No. Yes, Joseph Yobo and Godfrey Obaibuna. Joseph Yobo was even taken there because by then he was old a bit. By the time a lot happened, it was Godfrey Obaibuna, Joseph Yobo, and this other boy that Egweke too went to that tournament too. Then this other boy that was in Chelsea that left for Turkey, I've forgotten his name. Omeru. So you see that the blend of the local base and the European base gave us what we actually wanted. The defense was solid in that tournament. So I was thinking that the Super Eagles coach would have looked inward. But there is this defender, I think, is this left back that is either in Ikorodu United or one of these club sides that plays very well. His pass is sure. I think that was what I was thinking that the coach would have done. Even the goalkeeping area. If you want to drop Maduka Okoye, they should have brought in a Ikorodu goalkeeper, Ikorodu City goalkeeper, who is doing very well. I think it is high time they started giving opportunity to these our local boys, because most of them made their mark while playing from the local league, and they came directly to the Super Eagles before they left for Europe. So I believe there is still opportunity next time, if we have this, for the coach to look inward and see how we can bring in some of these our local boys. We may think that they are local, but most times they have what to give that most of these boys from Europe may not have that time to give, because they will be playing to save their leg, while these local boys are playing to get established. Look at what Sondemba did in that 2013 tournament. And majority of the home-based players in that tournament performed very well.
All right, let's see what Eric Chell is able to put up in the midfield as the middle of the park. Let's see some of the midfielders, because Alex Iwobi of Fulham is there. Frank Onyeka of Brentford made the list as well. Wilfred Ndidi of Besiktas of Turkey. Also there, Rafael Onyedik of Club Brugge. Tochukwu Nnadi of Zelt Wagam of Belgium made the list as well. Fisayo Dele Bashiru of SS Lazio also made a list. Akinsemiro also of Pisa yes, also made a list. And of course, Usman Mohammed made a cut as well. Doc, the midfield has been one key area since Austin J.J. Okocha left the Super Eagles. It has been very difficult for we to spot out that mercurial midfielder that has the ability, the skills and flair to create something out of nothing. Are you okay with the midfield?
Yeah, I'm okay with the midfield. It's the choice of the coach. But one thing is, when you talk about those creative midfielders of those days, you could hardly find a creative midfielder that is like J.J. Okocha, or you talk about the likes of Zinedine Zidane, you talk about the likes of Andre Pirlo. It becomes very difficult because these days players tend to play as a unit, no longer playing as an individual. Because back then, football was being enjoyed. Today, we are enjoying it, but it's not. It wasn't like somebody would want to come and showcase his skill for people to know that, look, this is the kind of player I am. No, it is no longer like that. But I think we have the array of midfielders that could help drive our midfield. What happens to Uche Crisantos? All he needs is just to blend in. With the midfield position at this point, coupled with what happened to Ndidi in our last match against Congo DR, where he made that silly error that caused that equalizing goal by Congo DR, I believe the coach should have also as well look inward. The Akinsero, bringing in Akinsero is a good one because the young man has been doing a very good job in Italy. Week in, week out, he has been playing and he has been regular. The young man from Belgium was also a good addition. But I think Santos Uche should also have made the list in order to complement, especially on the defensive area and ability to mark. Because if you check, the likes of Onyeka, they mark, and most times it's as if they are not truly committed to the game. Even in just a momentary loss of concentration against Congo DR, he could only touch the ball and now plays the ball very well for the Congo DR player to equalize, which was a very wrong one. So I believe with what the coach has given us, all the players need to do is to work as a team. Because these days, the mercurial players we always want to have, it's difficult to have them. The midfielders that will do the human job, it's difficult to have them. So we'll make do with what we have. So I believe if they can put their ass together and work as a unit, that's the key point. Then the wingers can as well draw down to the midfield and see how they help the midfield. If they do that, Nigeria will have the stars that can help us get to at least the semi-finals of the tournament.
All right, Mr. Francis, we have some couple of names, new names per se in the final 28-man list in the midfield. The likes of Tochukwu Nnadi, the likes of Beniza Akin Semiro, and of course Usman Mohammed. These are new names to Nigerians making the 28-man squad. Have you been able to take a little time out to profile these new names?
The first I caught sight of the list, I was very particular about midfield. Like the popular saying in football, when you win the midfield battle, win the game. As a matter of fact, against Congo DR, it was because we lost that midfield battle. That was why we lost that game. Some people say because Osimhen was withdrawn. No, even Osimhen had played that game, would have been started. The Congo team choked our midfield.
True.
We had nothing. There was no supply. Anyways, talking about the new additions, a player of concern to me, this is a player actually monitored his progress. His name is Beniza Akin Samiro. Akin Samiro, the first time I saw him was when they went for the Nigeria Cup in Italy, where he was with the Remo Stars Junior team, that's Beyond Limits Football Academy.
Yeah.
There is this youthful competition they played in Italy, year in, year out. That was when I first caught sight of him. And I followed his growth. It's been an up trajectory for Beniza Akin Samiro. After that competition, he came out one of the best, player. He went straight, to Italy, and right now he went to Inter Milan actually. From Inter Milan, he went on loan to Pisa. This guy reminds me of Ogenyo Nazi back in the days. A very combative player.
Yeah.
Very physical. Trust me, you need to watch him in Pisa. Doing the whole, and he is a workaholic. He's a workaholic player. Anytime he's fully fit, trust me, Beniza is a delight to watch. For the fact that I saw the growth You know, we've had issues with age in the past, but trust me, Ebenezer is a player that will play for the Super Eagles for a longer time. You know, he's a very decent player. And just at the age of 21, you know, it's great to see a player at 21, you know, break into the national team. It's a very good one for me personally because I saw him, you know, with Beyond Limits Football Academy, the junior team of Red Stars. And also, Usman Mohammed, very funny. I mean, this has actually, you know, raised some eyebrow. The last time I saw Mohammed play, I don't know if you remember when we played against Atletico de Madrid at Gospel Academy International.
Definitely.
That player will be mesmerized at Atletico de Madrid.
True. That year.
That year that came on, it came on as a sub. Took on 2 or 3 defenders. He turned them to. They were eating the grass basically. Let me use the local terms right now. With that solo goal, you can probably go back to watch that.
I can remember the game you're talking about.
Very good. That's the player himself, you know. But after that time, he went to extinction. 7 years ago. You know, but he came as a surprise that although he played in the Chancel in 2016, he was also the Chancel in 2016. Talking about Usman Mohammed, but he went into extinction. So I was surprised when I saw him on the list. Currently, he plays in Ironi Tibares, if I'm not mistaken, in Israel. Yes, he plays in the Israeli league right now. Another good, I he's 31 right now. You know, but that's another good inclusion right there to the national team, right there. But I think what we've been lacking in recent times have been that creativity, and that would be on either Alec Iwobi or Dele Bashiru, because Raphael Onyedika, Wilfred Ndidi, and Onyeka rather, they have similar qualities or similar characteristics.
More like defensive.
Yeah, they are more of a defensive-minded kind of player, you know. Although I think the little edge Onyeka has over them, that's Raphael Onyeka, has vision for passes. I don't know why he hasn't given the opportunity to play. That's what I admire. Because when you watch him at club play for his side, trust me,
it's a delight to watch.
Passes, sublime passes, passes, he's got all of that, you know. But anytime he's being called upon to, you know, for the national team, he only gets the opportunity to play for the team. Well, let's see what happens. Hopefully there'll be change, you know, at the AFCON right there in Morocco. But I think it's a blend of the younger and experienced player, you know, for the team. Hopefully all these guys, all these new guys, all these invited new players will have the opportunity to also showcase themselves. But personally, I think I'm more happier, you know, for Ebenezer Kinsamiro because trust me, he's the future of the Super Eagles. Very decent player in the end time.
Ebenezer, future player of the Super Eagles, a decent player any day, anytime. But let's take a look at it for the line because the likes of Lukman Ademola of Atlanta made the list. Samuel Chukwueze of Fulham, Victor James Osimhen of Galatasaray, Moise Simon of Paris FC, Chidera Ejuke of Sevilla, Akko Adams of Sevilla, Paul Onuachu of Trabzonspor, Cyril Dezas of Panathinaikos of Greece, Salim Fagolawal also made the list. Doc, in terms of the attack line of the Super Eagles, you may want to say it's okay, or is there any changes that you would have expected?
No, it's okay. The attack line, any day, anytime, the forward line of the Super Eagles with what we have can do and undo, can mesmerize any defense, can as well score as many goals as possible. But just like I always say, this is a tournament that will take up to 6 to 7 games, or let's say 8 games at most. So it requires total commitment to the game. This is not something that you think that you play one match, then you now recover in the next match. So it will take the players to put a lot of commitment to the game in order to ensure that they come out tops. One inclusion that I rightly had been calling out for was the inclusion of Paul Onuachu, who has been doing very well. He's competing with Victor Osimhen. So he should have been brought in long ago. And some omissions too that I think we are right was the omission of Kelechi Iheanacho, mission of Victor Moses, and I think these players within the time frame, and they've not really been doing very well in their club sides. Even in the national team, Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, throughout the time, all the times they've given to him to play in the Super Eagles, he has not had a goal. So it's not really been easy, you know. Most times some players are built for the national team, some are built for the club side. In fact, presently, he's even finding it very difficult. You know, he has had about 3 surgeries, and he's about to, if possible, he may go for another one again. I think this has really hampered his progress. But when you have Lookman, you have Victor Osimhen, you have Moses Simon, you have Chukwueze, I think there is no. You have Alex Iwobi supporting from the back. I think there is no defense that could stand that if they are committed to what they are there to do. Sometimes too, we are talking about creativity. There is the presence of Raphael Onyedika. I think it's Raphael Onyedika. Raphael Onyedika could do a lot in that midfield too. Instead of playing him as a defensive or more or less for a deep midfielder, they can give him that free role to play within the midfield and see how he controls the ball. I think if they do that, it will give more flair to the attack and a better option, and he can even mark too. So I believe the array of stars we have in the attack can do what we want them to do if they are ready to do it. I always say football is for who is ready to play. No be say Asabi play before. No be say I be Ronaldo or I have won this cup, I have won that. That's why Congo DR was able to defeat Nigeria. If not, they wouldn't have beaten us.
All right, Francis, are you comfortable with the striking option? Some have said that the likes of Tulu, Aroko Dare, and of course Kels, the senior man, Kelechi Iheanacho, is not there as well. Is there any name at all that you feel should have been included in this squad? Talking about the striking option that is not there, or is there any name at all that you feel should have not made the list? Some have said that Paul Onachu is not that player, but then he's informed. Are you okay with the striking option?
Well, football basically should be based on form. I mean, one of the major criteria players to get invited to the national team should be solely based on form. Paul Onachu proves that right now in Turkey. Going toe-to-toe with Victor Osimhen.
Through?
Okay.
Through?
In the Turkish league, almost 11 goals right now. In the Turkish Super League right there. I think he deserves to be in that Nations Cup list. I think this is our biggest strength, basically. The attacking is our biggest strength. Osimhen, I think there will be no much analysis that will lead to paralysis. Osimhen is that player everybody wants to be in his team. I think the top league in Europe slept on Victor Osimhen, and we can see what he did it immediately with Napoli. He gave them the league after almost 30-something years. Give them again the league right there in Turkey, although they've been dominating the Turkish Super League basically. Osimhen is a player. If he's fully fit, you know what he brings to the table. Our wingers too are top, and I'm very happy. It's a right timing for Samuel Chukwueze. I think he has peaked. We saw him struggle with AC Milan. I think he couldn't acclimatize to Italian football basically. But in England, we've seen what he has done in his previous games. He scored 2 goals against was it Manchester City? Yes.
Yeah.
Before that game also was an assist list.
Yeah.
He has been putting up one of the match performance for him in the Craven Cottage in recent times. I think it's a very beautiful one. What a perfect time for him to pick form. Also, Ademola Lookman, after the whole drama he had, with his club side, the transfer saga about moving, he was not allowed to leave. He put in a transfer request, Inter Milan came for him. I think that also affected his game psychologically. But I think in recent time, in the past couple of games, we need to find the back of the net. About Ademola Lookman, also a good one. Chidera Juki, trust me, this is a player that any day, anytime, one-on-one, he would. If he can get to start, I think he will be a super sub whoever is going to start on the flank. I think our wingers are top. Victor Osimhen, if he's been substituted, there's a Paul Onachu, who can also fit in and very good there. But I think the only Achilles heel we'll probably have in that attack will probably be Cyril Desire. We not respect to him. I see him as a service-based player. Okay? When I mean a service-based player, I liken him to the likes of Van Nistelrooy, Michael Owen, Filippo Inzaghi. These players might not have that technical ability in terms of beating a player one-on-one, but they can be very good when you save them the ball.
True.
But Osimhen needs to be different because if Osimhen is not scoring, he's getting the assist. He gives defenders nightmares. I think Cyril Desire is built differently, but also is a very good addition to the team. In all, summarily, I think our best position, our strength lie in the attack. But let's not forget, football is a transitional kind of football. When your defense is solid, the midfield, supports the attack, delivering those passes, then trust me, the attack will also deliver. So we can have the best attacks while there's a disconnection with the midfield, right? So they have to be this synergy between the midfield and the attack, because you can bring in a Cristiano Ronaldo and Haaland, name them, but when they are not getting the proper services, it becomes a problem. Okay, so I think our attack is good to go any day, anytime. But the major worry for me right now will be how creative midfield will be in supplying those passes or feeding the attacks to get the ball behind the net. But in all, I think it's a decent list.
A decent list, talking about the attack force of the Super Eagles, the only Achilles heel to so many is the inclusion of Siri Deza, but then not a bad one at all. Before we leave this very segment, Doc, there is one sensitive area that we need to also take a look at. If you watch this list carefully, there is no single home-based player, that is the Nigerian Premier Football League, in this list. Are you not worried that not even a single home base?
I stated that earlier on. First, I'll talk about the defense, and I also talked about the goalkeeping area. If you are dropping Maduka Okoye, the goalkeeper of Ikorodu City, who is doing very well, I think he has about 9 clean sheets or thereabout, should have been called up. Then you look at the defense. You brought in certain relatively unknown players that have not been in the Super Eagles. We still have, there is one left back in either Remo Stars or Ikorodu City or one of the clubs that his pass is something else. They should have included either 1 or 2 center backs and 1 right back in the defense. Either three or 2 players from the local league. The midfield, we needed that one creative player in the in the local league that would have done the same job that Sondemba did in 2013. Most times what happens is this: when you bring in these local players to compete with the big boys, they tend to showcase what ordinarily they couldn't do when they are doing it with their mates. So if they had brought in 1 or 2 players, I'm not talking about the attack, midfield, defense, and the goalkeeping area, at least 1 or 2 players
from the local league. From
the local league. 1 goalkeeper, 2 defenders, then 2 midfielders. Then watch them, give them time, watch them, and you see that at the end of the day, they may end up making the difference in the tournament. But I don't know. The coach we have is not a Nigerian, and he has not really followed up Nigerian football until he came in as the coach of the Super Eagles. So he may not really have that love for the local players. Just like Clemens Westerhoff was going all around, he had to pick most of the Finidi George was from Sharks to Julius Berger. Daniel Amokachi was from Lancers Beast, and JJ Okocha was from Rangers direct to Germany. So you understand that he was able to pick these players from the local game, and they are raw. All they need is just for you to say, go and do this. They will do it more than you have asked them to do it. So it's a concern.
Truly a concern. But then Nigeria will compete in Group C at the tournament where they have been drawn alongside Tunisia, Tanzania, and of course Uganda. Conspicuous absentees from the squad list include the likes of Maduka Okoye, Tolu Aroko Dare, and of course Ola Aina. Francis, before we leave the Super Eagles, take a look at the way the team actually delayed before releasing this 28. In fact, he has to do this on the final deadline day given by CAF. There is also news making around, Francis, that this Franco-Malian coach of the Super Eagles is being owed by the NFF for 3 months right now. If you take a look at the group, we find ourselves Tanzania alongside the others. Do you think that the Super Eagles, considering the fact that Eric Chell is rumored to be, not yet paid some of his salaries, can we actually come out from this very group as first position?
Well, it is quite sad and unfortunate that at this point in time we're still talking about salary being owed. It's like a cliche right now. Nigeria is a big nation, and issues like salaries shouldn't even be mentioned. Honestly, I think one of the major problems we have is not even the players. It is pure administrative problems because it trickles down from the top. Look at what happened, prior to the qualifiers. So this money was there. After the players came together and be like, okay, we're not playing if our outstanding bonuses are not being paid. That was when those saddled with the responsibility of handling out football, how to rush into it. Was like a family approach. Okay, don't worry, when you win this game, I will pay you this money. So that means the money was actually there. It deliberately withheld that money. And like I said, it's quite unfortunate that things like this still happen. And it affects these players psychologically because, of course, we might say it's a pride to don the shirt of the national team, but of course, this guy needs to be appreciated. He needs to be well paid. Up to now, we'll be having series of calls or cries like this from the previous coaches. They keep owing salaries, but it's quite unfortunate that we could probably be talking about salary not being paid, not if the money is not there. We're talking about being top in the group. Well, you would agree with me that football is being played on papers. Football is not played on papers. I think African football has grown over time. If the likes of Ghana could be struggling, I'm not sure Ghana even qualified for the AFCON.
No, they could they could not.
Because they didn't qualify for the AFCON. So if top African countries, quote unquote, also find it difficult to qualify from a seemingly easy group, the football is not played on paper. We shouldn't look at the arrays or the plethora of stars we have in our ranks. We should just treat every game as a final. Treat every game as if we're playing against either a Germany or a Brazil or a France. Because if you want to go for the names, then it might be a problem. We have bigger names come to DRC Congo, but what happened? We're taken to the cleaners. If we wanted to probably go by game, I think we should have even qualified from the World Cup group. But it didn't happen like that. Okay, so I'm not going to write off other teams.
All right.
I'm not going to write off other teams. Yeah, we might be bigger on paper. We might have arrays of stars, players playing top players in Europe, but that still doesn't make these other guys are walkovers. Everybody is going to this competition with lofty ambitions. Everybody's going with the game plan. I don't think anybody wants to come to this competition as to make up the numbers. They want to go as far as they can. So everybody's got the mindset of we can win this tournament. So I don't think it's an easy ride for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But I believe, I still believe in this team, regardless of what anybody thinks. I think we can. If we don't top the group, second will not be bad. But by default, as a Nigerian, you will always want your country, of course, to top the group, so that we can have it lesser going to the knockout phases.
All right, at this point, we'll take a quick break. When we are back, we'll dive straight to the UEFA Champions League midweek matches, and we'll bring you some of the results and some of the key highlights. So you stick with us, because we're back in a jiffy. All right, you're welcome back from that short break. Still on to the weekend edition of Sport Extra right here on Atlantic Television Network. Dr. Elechi Oweke is still here, and of course, Francis Idoroyen, all the way from the beautiful city of Calabar, is still, of course, with us via the Zoom line. And together we are bringing you up to speed with the latest revolving around the world of sport. Time for we to talk about the UEFA Champions League, because Szoboszlai's 88 minutes penalty gave Liverpool a crucial win against Inter Milan in the UEFA Champions League on Tuesday night after a worrying run of 9 defeats in 12 games. Slot side are now unbeaten in 4. The Reds have 12 points from their 6 UEFA Champions League ties, and victory here propelled them into the top 8 of the league phase, where automatic qualification to the last 16 is guaranteed. Inter dropped down to the 5th position on the same point tally, as they suffered the first home defeat in 19 matches in the competition so far. Francis, Liverpool, after some troubling time under Ancelotti, they came back unexpectedly. They went away from home at the San Siro Stadium to beat Inter Milan. Are you surprised with that result on Wednesday? All right, Doc, let me turn to you. Liverpool, before the game against Inter Milan, a lot of pressure on Ancelotti, coupled with the fact that Mo Salah had a little bit of, misunderstanding when he went to the media to, drop that bombshell. But then, despite all of those challenges, Ancelotti, Liverpool still went away from home to pick all 3 points against Inter. Are you surprised with that result?
No, I'm not surprised. Liverpool, any day, once they are coordinated, they could easily do an undo. And, going to Inter Milan is always a familiar ground for them. And, the rivalry between the Italian clubs and the and the English clubs. Most times when Italian clubs and English club plays, it depends on who is more determined to win. And most times it can go either way. If you watch, the game was tied 0-0 up till that last minute penalty that resulted to the win. I think what Ancelotti did was to put behind all the worries and all the troubles that has been following the heat up to the game, and see how they come up with a strategy to see that they put up something that will give them result. And actually it yielded the needed result, because if he had taken what has happened or what the team is going through, there was no need. There was no reason why they could have easily won that game by that 1 goal to nothing. So I think his antics and his tactics and his technical ability actually worked, because he was able to talk to the boys and see how they come out tops. It wasn't a surprise to me, because any day, anytime, Liverpool could easily beat Inter Milan.
Any day, anytime, Liverpool, the Red, will easily beat Inter Milan, according to Doc. But, Francis, I know you have a little affiliation with the Italian side. Are you not surprised that Inter Milan was beaten at home at the San Siro by a struggling Liverpool?
Well, like you said, you now have an affiliation with Italian football. Of course, I've always loved Italian football. I grew up watching Italian football. Well, I think for Inter Milan this season, they've had a big game syndrome. Yes, they lost that game to Liverpool, not because we're the bad side. Now, I'm going to state 2 major factors. Number one, Inter Milan has actually struggled this season against bigger oppositions. They lost to Napoli 1-0. They lost to Juventus 4-3. They lost to AC Milan in the Derby de Molanina. The only big team they've won, or the top team they've won this season, is only Roma, which they did at the Olympic home. Yes, I guess. But so far, they've lost all Atletico de Madrid, where they considered that late goal, around the 90-something minutes in the Champions League. And Liverpool too, I knew it was going to be that way. I knew they were going to go that same route because of the big game issues they've had. I don't know how Kivu is going to address that part, because for you to probably lift any major competition, you need to go toe-to-toe with the big boys. And secondly, that penalty, come on, that was a soft penalty. Football is a contact sport. That was a little pull from Alexandro Bastoni, and the guy went on the ground. And according to the report I gathered, the video assistant shouldn't have interfered, because it was the one that called the referee, to go check it. That was a very light one. Inter Milan also had a penalty. if you check properly, there was a shot that the hand of Virgil van Dijk, and the referee turned blind. I think officiating, the official was quite poor, because that was a very soft penalty. That was actually a very soft penalty.
All right.
And secondly, Inter Milan, I mean, big game problem this season.
All right, because of time factor, let's go ahead and service some other results that came through on Tuesday in the UEFA Champions League, as Carret Amateur, were beaten at home by Olympiacos 1-0. Bayern Munich got the better of Sporting Lisbon 3-1. Atalanta beat Chelsea 2-1, while Barcelona beat Eintracht Frankfurt 2-1. Inter Milan, like we told you, lost at home to Liverpool 1-0. Monaco beat Galatasaray 1-0. PSV Eindhoven lost to Atletico Madrid 3-2. Tottenham Hotspur beat Slava Prague 3-0, while Union Saint-Gilloise lost at home to Marseille 3-1. And on Wednesday night, Arsenal became the first team in this year's UEFA Champions League to secure an automatic passage to the next round of the UEFA Champions League, as they made it 6 from 6 matches in the UEFA Champions League this season, with a 3-0 victory over Club Brugge on Wednesday night, powered by 2 goals from Noni Madueke and another from Gabriel Martinelli at the Jan Bristol Stadium. At 6 years old, Mali Salmon came on for his first debut, becoming the 4th youngest player to appear for Arsenal Football Club, as Arsenal returned to English Premier League action at home on Saturday, before completing their UEFA Champions League phase fixtures away to Inter Milan and at home to Carret Amateur. Other full result that came through in the UEFA Champions League that Wednesday saw Qarabağ lost at home to Ajax 4-2. Villarreal also were beaten at home by Copenhagen 3-2. Athletic Club played 0 against Paris Saint-Germain. And of course, Bayern Leverkusen were held at home by Newcastle 2-2. It ended. Benfica beat Napoli 2-0, while Borussia Dortmund also played 2-2 against Bodo Glimt. Club Brugge were trashed by Arsenal 3-0, while Juventus, the old ladies, beat Pafos 2-0. Troubling Madrid side with Xavi Alonso lost at home at the Santiago Bernabeu to Manchester City 2-1 in that particular encounter. Francis, we are running out of time, but we cannot go without talking about Arsenal. 6 wins out of 6, 18 points, becoming the first team to make it through to the round of 16. Will Arsenal win the UEFA Champions League this season?
That $1 million question right there. Well, it's still early days, although they've had a flawless victory thus far in the Champions League. One thing about Champions League is the further you go, the difficult it becomes, or the tougher it becomes. Okay, so I think they stand a very good chance. The momentum is quite high for them. It is really working for them at the moment. And but if they would win, that's a very tough question. Let's see how they will fare against maybe the likes of maybe Barcelona, other top teams in the Champions League. I don't want to mention any name precisely, but top 3 teams to probably this year you see, or maybe Arsenal also a title contender, because they've shown that both in the league and the Champions League. But the farther they go, the tougher it will become. So let's just keep our finger crossed and see what happens.
Keeping fingers crossed, Doc. I know you might not be keeping your fingers crossed on Arsenal. Currently, Arsenal, they are topping the UEFA Champions League standing, and of course the English Premier League standing. Are they truly title contender, or are they title pretender?
For the Champions League, I don't see Arsenal going further than probably maybe they may get to the quarterfinal.
Are you serious?
Because why I'm saying that is that most times they tend to do well, but when it matters most, you see them fizzle out. And it has been like that year in, year out. Imagine the game against Aston Villa, where at that time minute, where all you needed to do is just to defend and end the game 1-1. They conceded that goal at the death of time. That's to show you the character of the team. Now, some teams may not play well, but when it matters most, you see them come all out to give their best to ensure that they hold that trophy that they want to behold. And that is teams like Chelsea, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter most times. This Arsenal team doesn't have that character. Let's watch. Probably things may change. Or it may be the case of the deja vu. What happens previously will continue happening. Let us watch and see how it goes.
All right, watch and see. What I can tell you that not too many people are so much, hopeful and confident enough that Arsenal is going to break that dog of never winning the UEFA Champions League, the Holy Grail. But then take a look at their run so far this season. Yes, you might also pause a bit and think twice about Arsenal's solid defensive lineup and, of course, their instincts in terms of biting in front of goals, because they have scored about 16 goals, considered just 2 winning all their 6 matches, sitting top at the UEFA Champions League standing. So for Arsenal, those who are not taking them serious also, watch the start as well, because Arsenal, they seem to have something brewing in their favor, even as they continue to, the quest to that land of, glory, talking about UEFA Champions League. But then we are running out of time. But I can tell you that the basement team in the UEFA Champions League are the likes of Villarreal, because they are seated 35th on the log. Likes of Carret Amateur, they are occupying 36th position. And of course, these are some of the teams that are not doing pretty well for the UEFA Champions League. But then, like I said, we'll make a return next weekend with yet another bumper package of Sport Extra right here on Atlantic Television Network. I did a show this evening alongside Dr. Elechi Oweke, who is a lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt. And of course, the Big France is a sport journalist and of course a content creator, a seasoned sports analyst as well. Because I tell you, he's one man that has an in-depth knowledge of the game. So we are saying, have a very beautiful weekend ahead. My name is Emmanuel Michael, the Prime Minister of the Airways.